progress, Madam Speaker. The government has to go back and buy land for such facilities. Well, Madam Speaker, we had ample land area which was not rocked and somebody took the land. So, Madam Speaker, I'm so grateful to everybody, especially those members who are very positive on supporting this land, including the current chair land, Joas, who also in support of this. And this, with these few remarks, Madam Speaker, I request Honorable George Mulugara to second as I move.
Honorable Mulugara.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to second. Thank you.
Honorable members, I therefore propose the question that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Senate amendment to the Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 40 of 2022. I'll give Honorable Nyamai.
I don't know why it's not accepting. Okay. Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. There seems to be a problem with the connection to the cards. Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for giving me a chance to make a comment on this very important bill that was initiated by the Honorable Kingara, member for Ruiru. I would like to congratulate him, and also more so for the patience. This being a devolved matter, this bill was discussed here, went to the Senate, and it is so important that we ensure that land that has been given to government is properly documented and registered. And as the Honorable Kingara was saying, now we realize that we require land that is documented because of the affordable housing project. You try to get just a single acre of land in a constituency and it is impossible. We try to construct a police station, you are not able to get land, and if it is there, it is not documented. So, Honorable Speaker, this bill is very important. It is also important for the National Land Commission. They will be able to use it for a vesting of land. Land that has been acquired compulsorily for construction of roads, the reserve on the, along our highways and along even our rural roads. Honorable Speaker, it is sad to note that those pieces of land have not been properly surveyed, properly documented, and more so registered with the name of Treasury. And this is very important. And this is the reason as to why most of the government land is lost, because some surveyors who may have the wrong intentions, they leave out public land and they go back to the same pieces of land. And because they are aware that that land has not been properly gazetted, properly registered in the name of the National Treasury, the same pieces of land are subdivided and they benefit other people. So this is a very important bill, and I would like to congratulate the National Assembly, the Senate, and this House for the good work that it has done. I hope that it sees the light of the day, because this is not the end. It will need to go all the way to become an act of parliament, and that is how it will be useful. Honorable Speaker, you take note that people who have huge chunks of land are supposed to give a percentage of their land back to government. When they do so, that land is taken advantage of because of failure to gazette it properly and failure to register it in the name of government, and that is in the name of the National Treasury. So congratulations, Honorable Kingara, and thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the chance.
Well, Dr. Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, I also want to join colleagues in appreciating this bill, and more so Honorable Kingara, who has actually been spearheading the bill. My hope is also that it will see the end of the day by being an act of parliament. But even as I support this, Honorable Speaker, there is a bill I was also sponsoring, which was touching on the lives of members who are here and those who have left. And I'm sure that, Honorable Speaker, you are aware about the Parliamentary Pensions Amendment Bill, which touches our lives as members of Parliament. I'm a bit concerned that as at now, nothing seems to be moving. I'm happy that I'm seeing the majority leader here. And I've said, Honorable Speaker, as we serve Kenyans, let's remember that very soon we'll be part of that team. It's important we also finalize this bill for the sake of the members who have left this house and those who are going to leave very soon. And I want to remind the members, we are all potential former members of parliament. So, Honorable Speaker, I'm begging that through your intentions, Honorable Speaker, we could get this bill through this house, possibly before the end of this year, because next year we're getting into politics. And it will be very difficult to prosecute a bill here touching on us as politicians when we are campaigning. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Well, Majority Leader, that's an issue that has been pending. Maybe you can give an undertaking to have it scheduled, at least this session. It will be important.
Honorable Speaker, well guided, we'll take it up in the House Business Committee.
Very well. Member for Kiamba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support Honorable Kingara on this particular bill because it is very important for us to make sure that we protect the public land, especially from the same people who sometimes subdivide land and make sure that this land belongs to the public, but because they know that the land doesn't have any documentation in terms of title deed, they make sure that they also use fake titles to grab public land. We have very serious issues, especially even in our constituencies, whereby you have a school that it belongs to the public, doesn't have a title deed. You have a land that probably, even if you want to do an affordable housing or you want to build a KMTC, you want to do a TVET, you cannot be able to do that because those lands, they belong to the public, but yet they don't have documentations. Madam Speaker, this will go a long way to make sure that we safeguard the future of our children and the future of public land, because as we move forward, there is a realization that public land the usage of a public land, they are diminishing in one way or the other, and you realize that the majority of the public land has been grabbed, especially even in a constituency like in Kiamba. I was telling Honorable Kingara that even to get a public land to do an affordable housing, we don't have, because majority of those public lands have been grabbed. And now we have people who are sitting on those lands. They have constructed very serious houses, and to make sure that you are able to repossess those lands, it will become a nightmare for the government to possess the land back. So we must make sure that the retro public land we have been able to safeguard it by making sure that we offer documentations, and the National Commission must arise to this occasion, not only to do reporting, but they make sure that they allocate and issue title deeds to specific public lands. If it's a police station, we make sure that that police station has a document that even years and years to come, that probably is with the Harambee House, that is the custodian of the Harambee House or probably the National Treasury, so that we make sure we protect this few public land that remains for purposes of benefiting the public that we represent today, Madam Speaker. So therefore, I rise to support and congratulate Mheshimiwa Kingara for coming up with this bill. We support.
Honorable member. No. Okay. Honorable members, there being no more interest on this bill, allow me to put the question. Allow me to put the question that this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Senate amendment to the Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 40 of 2022. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2025. Second reading.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I beg to move, Honorable Speaker, that the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2025, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, this bill It's a very short bill, almost about 3 clauses. And Principal Honorable Speaker, the intent of this bill is to have monies that are usually under charge to passengers, air passengers, both for domestic and international flights, and usually appropriated or shared between the Kenya Airports Authority, the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, and the Tourism Promotion Fund, to now be shared amongst these institutions, but to the exclusion of the Tourism Promotion Fund, and in its place put the Tourism Fund, which is a more centralized fund that will be better placed to ensure that this money goes to the promotion of tourism-related activities and projects. Honorable Speaker, the bill also shares out this money to the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority, as is envisaged in the bill that we passed yesterday on the creation of the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority. Members are aware that this authority does not exist yet because we only passed that bill yesterday. And therefore, we are consulting, and I know the committee right now is in a meeting with the CS in charge of transport to consult around this issue and know whether, by the time we come to third reading, whether we will need to have the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority enlisted as part of the beneficiaries of these funds, or just leave it as it is for this authority to get money from the exchequer. But Honorable Speaker, in the endeavor of the bill to allocate part of this money to the Kenya Meteorological Service is also to ensure that there's a sustainable revenue stream for the authority and able to deliver on its statutory mandate, and particularly to ensure that there is accurate weather forecasting. And you know, accurate weather forecasting is also critical for aviation safety and disaster preparedness, as much as it's also very good and effective in forecasting weather for our farmers and other national needs. But in this particular case, the intent of the bill was to ensure that this authority, as much as it will get money from the exchequer directly by appropriation from the National Assembly, and those who are here during debate on the meteorological bill, are aware that that authority has also the opportunity to get money allocated by this House for its work. But we are also looking at an opportunity to have them have another more sustainable stream other than the normal budgetary provisions. But as I said, Honorable Speaker, the committee is currently engaging with a view to proposing amendments when we come to Committee of the Whole House, hopefully on Tuesday morning, so that, again, there is no duplication. If we are appropriating money to that authority from the House, there may be no need, again, to appropriate these funds from the air passenger service charge. Honorable Speaker, this charge, as I said, is charged both on local flights at a level of about 600 shillings for local flights and about $50 for international flights. And as I said, currently this money is being shared to KAA, that usually gets the largest share because they are the ones running the airports that are patronized by the passengers who are boarding the flights. And they usually, from the international flights, they usually get about 60%, with another 20% going to KCAA and also to the Kenya Tourism Promotion Fund. On domestic flights, again, KAA gets the larger proportion, about 50%, and about 30% going into KCAA, and another 20% going to the Tourism Promotion Fund. As I said, Honorable Speaker, in place of the Tourism Promotion Fund, we are proposing that this money now goes to the Tourism Fund. One, to avoid duplication or reduce the duplication of monies that are going to various entities within the tourism sector, and improve efficiency by ensuring that tourism-related projects are supported from a single unified fund. And there is no better fund other than the Tourism Fund for that purpose, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as I said, it's a very short bill, and therefore do not need to say much. The only other thing members will note from the bill is that unlike before, where I've said that these monies are shared out under the Act, we are now creating greater flexibility to allow the Cabinet Secretary, through Gazette notices in the Kenya Gazette, to specify the allocation of proceeds amongst the beneficiaries. So based on needs and adaptability of emerging needs without the delays for further legislative amendments. As I said, for instance, now, if we were to incorporate the tourism fund, if you are to change the ratios as they were in an act of parliament, you'd have to come back to the House to allow parliament to legislate again. And you know how long that process can take, as Honorable Makali was alluding to on the bill that he was proposing, and you're aware how long it's been here. So it becomes a little bit cumbersome if even on sharing ratios, you have to come back to the House to legislate. So we want to give that flexibility and adaptability to the Cabinet Secretary so that if tomorrow, for instance, we think KAA requires more money because probably KAA is building a new airport, or KCAA requires to ensure greater aviation safety in the country and they require more money, it will be up to the Cabinet Secretary to propose in the Kenya Gazette through regulations the ratios through which they will share these monies. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, with those very many remarks, I want to ask the Deputy Leader of Majority, I was looking for him. I beg to move, and as I was looking for my deputy, I beg to ask my deputy, the Honorable Owen Baya, to second this motion. Thank you.
Honorable Owen.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I want to thank the Leader of Majority for ably moving this bill, Honorable Speaker. This is fairly a short bill, Honorable Speaker, that seeks to do one thing, to ensure that the money that is appropriated under the air passenger service charge, Honorable Speaker, is shared among other institutions, Honorable Speaker. And there are 3 institutions, Honorable Speaker, earmarked for that, so that the money can also be shared for utilization in those departments. One of them is the Kenya Meteorological Services Authority, which we ably yesterday passed this bill, and I am sure it will get presidential assent. And therefore, the Meteorological Services, Honorable Speaker, you realize, does a lot of work to give us weather updates, to give us even when planes are flying into this country, they depend so much on weather forecasts so that we know whether it is safe to fly or not safe to fly. But the Meteorological Department does not have its own source revenue, Honorable Speaker, although it ensures that we are safe when flying, Honorable Speaker. So it is fair, and I want to emphasize that, Honorable Speaker, it is fair that the Meteorological Services Authority now draws some money from the air passenger service charge, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, another important beneficiary is the tourism fund, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, air services make a lot of money from tourists in this country. And in doing that, Honorable Speaker, we realize it is important that we continue to fund the Kenya Tourism Fund, Honorable Speaker. When the tourism fund is properly funded, Honorable Speaker, then we'll get more tourists. And therefore, it is okay, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that tourism fund also gets some money. Honorable Speaker, the fund will continue also to provide funds for the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority and the Kenya Airports Authority, Honorable Speaker. These 2 bodies will also be drawing funds from this. So, Honorable Speaker, this is a fairly short bill, and this bill, Honorable Speaker, also includes some of the amendments that are intended to be done, Honorable Speaker, includes, Honorable Speaker, showing where the money will come from. For example, the air services charge, Honorable Speaker, will also get grants, donation, bequests, or other gifts made to the fund, and also monies from any other source approved by the Cabinet Secretary for the time being responsible for matters relating to finance. Money is appropriated by Parliament for the purposes of the fund, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, for us to ensure the air services in this country are properly taken care of, then there are certain institutions that also need to be funded so that we continue to have respect in the world of air travels, Honorable Speaker. And for that reason, Honorable Speaker, I second and ask members of this House to support this bill so that we pass it as quickly as possible to ensure that we provide funds for these other bodies. Honorable Speaker, I second.
Honorable members, allow me to propose the question that the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2025, be now read a second time. Member for Kathiani.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to also make a contribution on this bill on the Air Passenger Service Charter. Madam Speaker, this has always existed. This fund has always existed and it has always been shared out. But previously it was shared out amongst three institutions. And so what has happened is that within the bill, one of the institutions has changed, the one for tourism, because these air passengers, when they make payments, one of the areas, critical areas that we want to support is the tourism sector. So basically the money was going to the tourism promotion fund, but the new proposal is that it goes to the tourism fund, which is more central, so that it can be able to be used properly for purposes of dealing with the tourism industry. Madam Speaker, the other new one that has been introduced is the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority. The Met Department, Madam Speaker, is very, very critical in air transport, because every time before any plane takes off, they must give a report, they must check the weather patterns, they must check whether there will be anything that can affect the aeroplanes. And therefore, it is one of those institutions that are critical in air travel. And therefore, it didn't even make sense that they were not being supported by the sector. So this is a very, very, very important adjustment. So I think it's important that we are able to now using part of this fund support the Met Department. Madam Speaker, the other two that were already there, the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, basically requires this money so that they can improve the industry. And finally, the Kenya Airports Authority requires this money so that they can be able to also improve the facilities at the airports. Madam Speaker, it is out of these funds that we are supposed to ensure that we provide enough money slowly over the period when more and more people travel through our airplanes, that we are able to develop enough money to be able to even build an airport. Madam Speaker, I'm saying this because we have seen attempts in the recent past where there was an attempt to almost privatize our airports. And I think it's important that we use the monies that are available from our air tickets so that we can be able to build enough capital so that we can be able to start doing a new wing for our airport. Madam Speaker, some of these installations are so critical that we must ensure that the government has some say. You cannot allow certain critical infrastructure to be in the hands of private investors. And Madam Speaker, that's why I'm also concerned that we are hearing reports in the corridors of power that even the Kenya Pipeline Corporation is about to be also given to private investors. Madam Speaker, what kind of a country would we be if our distribution of energy is through private hands, if our distribution of fuel is through private hands, if our airports are in the hands of private investors? That means that someone outside government can be running this country, Madam Speaker. So I want to say that this regime must stop these games of taking control of critical infrastructure that belongs to Kenyan people, so that we can ensure that the money that we have and we pay as taxes is the money that is used to be able to develop our infrastructure, not private individuals, so that we do not lose the essence of what we call governance. So, Madam Speaker, with those remarks, I think it's important that this money is shared fairly and that we be able to develop our industry for the tourism industry, the air travel industry, so that Kenya can prosper as a nation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Kiamba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this bill. But I also want to maybe state 2 or 3 things, because I've been a vice chair of that committee for the longest time. And I totally support, because also there is a suggestion of the merger of the TPF and Tourism Fund. But I also want to tell the Leader of Majority, because I know he's the sponsor of the bill, that as we also prepare to take the biggest chunk of the money to Tourism Fund, we must also put into consideration the role that probably and the policies that the Tourism Fund has been doing it cannot be able, to support any other institutions, especially in terms of promoting tourism. But the TPF was able to do that. It was the one that was funding KTB, Kenya Tourism Board. It was, sponsoring the Magical Kenya. It was sponsoring some projects in KWS and other institutions. So as we also support the tourism fund, it would be prudent for us to make sure that we also give them some leeway, maybe a year or two before they wind up and join the tourism fund, because they already have existing projects that they have been sponsoring. So once we deny them the opportunity of getting that money that they have been getting, what becomes of those projects? Those projects will become ghost projects. They have been funding Ronangara, funding Kenya Wildlife Service. They have been funding wildlife, other institutions within the tourism sector. So it is very, very important for us to make sure that as we release the funds to the tourism fund, there is enough policy to support other tourism activities beyond whatever tourism fund has been able to do. And we know, because now they're the one who are in charge of Ronangara and probably sponsorship of Bombers of Kenya, we also make sure that other related tourism activities have enough funds to continue attracting tourists within our Republic of Kenya, and also to make sure that they continue marketing Kenya as a tourist destination, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker. So I support, but I will also urge, as we see the proposal that will be brought in the floor of the House by the committee, we also make sure that as we prepare to merge the two institutions, we have also given them some time frame to complete the ongoing projects in terms of project that they have been sponsoring. Since now, once this bill has been assent by the president, it will deny them of any funds to make sure that they support other existing or ongoing projects. So there must be a transitions clause, probably in the third leading, or we will support in the third leading, to make sure that they complete all the ongoing projects before they wind up and they merge between tourism and tourism promotion fund. So therefore, Madam Speaker, we are supporting, but wait to see the amendments that probably will be brought by the committee. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Makueni.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also wish to put my voice on this particular bill. And basically, I find it quite enriching. My only concern is we realize that this fund was mainly used to manage directly the services related to the airport. My only concern, Honorable Speaker, is once these funds are taken to other services, what happens to the services being managed by KAA? Because I've found out that in this particular country, Honorable Speaker, we have this habit of stopping what is working to create what is not working. And I think that is not actually very helpful. We need to understand what problem are we trying to solve by diversifying this fund to include meteorological services and others. Because we realize that if we don't improve the services in our airports because of lack of resources, because I don't know, once we withdraw these funds from the KAA, what does it mean for them? Because already we've seen a lot of problems in the airport. Does it mean we degrade? Where will they get the resources themselves to manage the airport? Because the more we get away to other services, offloading funds elsewhere, we may weaken the management at our center of the Kenya Airport Authority, and that may actually weaken the entire tourism industry. So I think we need a very clear evaluation. A very clear evaluation that actually indicates what is not working and what is working better. Honorable Speaker, in this country we have a growing tendency of wanting floating money that cannot be said it belongs to there. Recently we had affordable housing to build decent houses for our Kenyans. Now this fund has become the fund to do anything and anything. It is not markets, it's anything. So if we are diversifying these funds and creating loopholes for people to have floating money while we neglect the core services of any fund. Honorable Speaker, I think this is not in order. So we need the mover of the bill to give us more information. What is not working now and what makes this work as opposed to loading and diversifying funds from the management of KAA and weakening the services of the core mandate of the airlines. So I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to sit. Thank you.
Very well. Honorable Dr. Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want also to support this bill. I think the justification for the institutions to get the money has been well explained by the mover and some of the members who have contributed to this bill, Honorable Speaker. It is very well justified that the KAA should get money. Kenya Civil Aviation, very good justification why they should get money. Kenya Tourism Fund, why they should get money. And then the Meteorological Services Authority, Honorable Speaker. But Honorable Speaker, just a caution. If I heard the majority leader well, Honorable Speaker, the majority leader was saying that in terms of sharing the money, once the money is collected from the passengers, because it is the airline passenger service charge, once the money is collected from the passengers, Honorable Speaker, how the money is shared, if I got the majority right, you're saying that that can be left with the accounting officer, Honorable Speaker. And I think we need to be a bit careful with that, Honorable Speaker, because what we are saying is the accounting officer should be able to say how much money goes to which institution. I think resource sharing, Honorable Speaker, is such a sensitive matter that one we may need to look at it in terms of what share goes to which institution. Because at some point, there will be need for KAA to have more money. At some point, there might be need for KCA to have more money. But as to whether what percentage goes to which institution, I think that should be either left with Parliament, because you'll be able to get the justification, or instead of leaving it with just the accounting officer, left within a team of accounting officers. For example, we could say that when it comes to sharing, the 4 concerned accounting officers might have to sit down and discuss and agree what shares. Otherwise, if you leave to an individual, Honorable Speaker, we might then cause confusion and have a lot of conflict between the accounting officers. So this is something which I think as we move to the third reading, we might have to look at, Honorable Speaker, so that these particular percentages are well explained. But I think as Honorable Mboy was saying, Honorable Speaker, this idea of privatization of public institutions or parastatals, Honorable Speaker, is a matter as a country we need to engage in what I would call a national conversation, Honorable Speaker. Because, Honorable Speaker, some of these parastatals are so strategic that leaving them to private hands might be a bit tricky for the country. And that's why I think really I would want to hear what the Public Debt and Privatization Committee and the Committee on Energy, who are discussing the KPC matter, will be telling the House on matters privatization. Because from where I sit, Honorable Speaker, I think this House will have to take time and debate this issue of KPC in a very sober way, so that we don't put this country and such a strategic parastatal, Honorable Speaker, in the hands of a private sector. But that will be debated when it comes to the House, Honorable Speaker. I only wish that the concerned committees will be able to give us the right direction, and I also hope, Honorable Speaker, that the concerned committees will not be influenced, as the President has said that the committees of this House are getting influenced. I think we will be getting a report which is objective, a report which has been discussed thoroughly based on information provided, so that we clean ourselves as a House. Because, Honorable Speaker, you remember yesterday, as a House, we were already said to be that the committees are getting influence, external influence. And I would want really to see us cleaning ourselves from that, if it is true. But from where I sit, Honorable Speaker, I do believe that statement, we might have to give us time to discuss that statement. Because personally, I don't agree with it. For now, Honorable Speaker, I support the bill.
Honorable Geshimo.
Honorable Speaker, I also rise to support this bill. And Honorable Speaker, this amendment is very critical because in the previous arrangement, there appeared also to be a conflict of interest because the CS who is supposed also to make regulations was also sitting in the same tourism promotion fund. And the merger of the tourism promotion fund and the tourism fund it will be very critical because they both speak to the same. A tourism fund is for purposes of promotion of the tourism. What just needs to be ended is what the tourism promotion fund was doing, and it's not being done by the tourism fund. Honorable Speaker, looking at the amendments also, it will not be expected that an act of parliament has to be amended for the ratios to be adjusted. And therefore, when a CS is given the powers, and I think it should be very clear that it has to be through regulations that also needs to come before Parliament through the relevant committee for the purposes of that adjustment to be adopted by the Parliament. Honorable Speaker, I do support. Thank you.
Honorable Joseph Dena.
Madam Speaker, I rise to support this bill. I think the most important thing is for us to be able to look at what are the functions of Meteorological Department. And when you look at it, this is a department which has been underfunded, which has no resources. And in everywhere where you travel, and with this climate change, with floods that are happening, the Meteorological Department form a key part of our lives. And if we put it into the air service charge, which is distributed now between Kenya Airports Authority, KAA, and the other institution, this will form part and give the minister our leeway to distribute the fund. But the key factor that we need also to look at, it is how this amount will be distributed. I think my colleague has also said there is the tourism fund and the tourism TPF, which has been funding a lot of and giving a lot of grants. It's been funding Utalii College, it's been funding most of the colleges that are standing. It's been funding also Tourism Board. So we need to look at the moment it exits, what are the projects that they are doing and how they are going to be funded. But I raise to support this motion. Thank you.
There being no more interests, I don't see you on my system. Why are you raising your hands, all of you? Honorable Jamatia, where is your card? Honorable Patrick, where is your card? Honorable Amaua, you'll have the first go. I can see your card finally.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I rise also to support this air passenger service charge amendment bill by the Leader of Majority because it is a critical legislative intervention that is aiming at enhancing the public service delivery in both the aviation and the tourism sectors. And within this streamlining of the fund allocation, it's going to eliminate the duplication and strengthen the meteorological capacity that underpins aviation safety and national resilience. Madam Speaker, in summary, the proposal of this bill is going to reallocate the aviation funds, making sure that we retain the Kenya Airport Authority and the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority as beneficiaries of the same. Madam Speaker, also redirect tourism-related funds to the tourism fund and discontinue the use of the tourism promotion fund, Madam Speaker, because it's like a duplication, and also introduce these funds to the Kenya Meteorological Service Authority as a beneficiary to guarantee sustainable financing for its core mandate. Madam Speaker, previously, these funds had been directed to the Tourism Promotion Fund, whose function overlaps the Tourism Fund. And therefore, with the introduction of the same, it's going to collect this in a way that this money will be used in a prudent way. Madam Speaker, this is a progressive move that will improve the efficiency, reduce administration overheads, and strengthen our tourism promotion efforts, Madam Speaker, while we know what the tourism is doing and the kind of money that the country is getting. Madam Speaker, the underfunded meteorological services is now going to have enough of its capacity so that it can also be able to improve on the critical areas of the aviation, and also maybe assist us with the disaster preparedness that we require, and also be able to monitor the climate properly. Some of these areas, since they were underfunded, were affecting, and we really need to check on the climate as far as our aviation is to be effective. Madam Speaker, I want to request the members to support this for the benefit of the tourism industry, our aviation sector, and also the safety and prosperity of our nation. I support.
Ojematia.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I also want to rise to support this amendment bill of air passenger service charge. Madam Speaker, going through the bill, you realize that it is a bill that is going to help us as a country to forge forward, and this is a bill that has been practiced in most of the regions, specifically other countries, that where we have most of these authorities merged together so that to reduce duplication of roles. If you look at TPF, that is a tourist fund, and KA and Meteorological Department, they work hand in hand. And this bill is going to help us enhance more and better quality services, because when you merge them together, Madam Speaker, you are able to get proper mandate and efficiency, and it's also going to be quite effective in most of their deliberations and work. Madam Speaker, what I like about this bill, in the statement, it's not a money bill, which is also within the meaning of Article 144.14 of the Constitution, that it is not going to cost additional expenditure to the public coffers. And this way, we are actually going to be enhancing more money, because when you put this and integrate these authorities, we are going to have better financing model. And tourism is going to work hand in hand, specifically on the matters air, passengers, and transportation of air. The Meteorological Department is going to benefit more, because this is going to enhance better explanation, especially when transport in the air is going to be done. Meteorological is going to be a key factor here. Madam Speaker, I also look at the concerns. This is not going to affect us in the county levels, and this is going to improve our revenue collections better. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I support.
Member for Nyando. There's a problem with this line. The microphones have a problem. The IT team should look at it.
I thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I also lend my support to this amendment bill on the air passenger service charge, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is true that we have had great challenges when it comes to our airline industry, and this particular fund will inevitably airways to America, and up too early to go to the airport to receive our airline. And it was an expression of nationalism, Madam Speaker. It was great pride indeed for our country to have our flight move straight away from Nairobi to the United States, and not piloted by anybody else but a Mr. Kariuki, who flew this aircraft for 16 hours to New York, Madam Speaker. For those of us who fly Kenya Airways, you will bear me witness that the condition of those aircrafts do not befit the condition of the international airline industry, Madam Speaker. When people are moving to the Dreamliners and Boeing 707, Madam Speaker, we are stuck into the old order. So we believe, therefore, that with this funding, together with the goodwill of our good government, that we will at least procure state-of-the-art airlines to compete with those in the international community, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, our airline charges exorbitantly higher for reasons that we do not understand. Either you travel domestically or internationally, Madam Speaker. And as my friend, the majority leader says, certain times you sit in an aircraft, you have paid 40,000 one way, and the person seated immediately next to you has only paid 5,000. So this kind of disparity, particularly with the domestic airlines, also need to stop, Madam Speaker. When Emirates and Qatar Airways charge much less, it is because they believe that they do not want to make much money as a country on airport transportation. They want to bring people into their nations in order that they buy, purchase, and stay in their countries, Madam Speaker. Even if you have a layover time of 3 hours in an airport, Madam Speaker, chances of you spending money either on food or freshening up or just buying things in the duty-free shops would be very high, Madam Speaker. And therefore, this kind of notion that we can only make money by overcharging passengers need to be taken to the back burner so that we bring more people into our country. Madam Speaker, we have lost a lot of our tourists to Ethiopia, to Zambia, to Zimbabwe, and many other African nations, Madam Speaker. Yet, Masai Mara is the 8th wonder of the world, not anywhere else, of the world. Therefore, we need to put more efforts in streamlining our airline industry so that we bring many, many people into this country in terms of tourists.
Member for Game.
I've just listened to the Honorable MP for Nyando, insinuating that you have lost tourists to Zambia and other countries without giving a statistical reference and incontrovertible data. I'm sure, Jared, you have traveled all over. At least you remember I hosted you and Madam Speaker in my house in Morristown. Beside the point. But what is important, when you choose to give figures, give concrete figures. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Nyando.
Where did you host? What is that?
The problem again. Oh, there's one here.
We still have a problem with the IT this side.
Oh, next to me. Yeah, I hope this works. Madam Speaker, that was just don't necessarily have to answer to that. Honorable Speaker, it is true that we have had our agriculture as our best earner for many, many years. And tourism has always been our number 2 best earner in terms of revenue collection. But that has since been overtaken by light industries, Madam Speaker. So therefore, we need to pay much credence to our tourism industry and by extension, make sure that our airline industry works for the betterment of our nation, Madam Speaker. And therefore, I indeed support this motion, and I hope that it will inject
Honorable
a new
Chepkonga,
impetus.
wait, Honorable Member for Nyando. The member for Inabco, he looks very agitated. What is out of order?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The member of Nyando, the Honorable Jared Okello, you can see the exchange between him and his neighbor. You can see some they were relevant, but not necessary. You can see, therefore, that it is time for the mover to reply. Would I be in order, Madam Speaker, to request you to ask the mover to reply? I thank you.
Yes. To reply.
For Nyando?
He had finished.
Are you done?
He had finished.
Madam Speaker, fortunately, I got the statistics as regards to what we have lost as a nation. Honorable Speaker, in the year 2019, we did net $1.76 billion within the tourism industry. In 2022, it dropped down to 1.7 billion, therefore meaning we have lost 600 million towards tourism sector. And the statistics continue, Madam Speaker. In the interest of time, I will not read it up to date, but it is true that we need to give a new approach into airline industry and thereby, by extension, stabilizing our economy. Because as the broad-based government, we have undertaken as a people to brighten the future of this country by shedding off parochial interests and partisan interests that serve no interest to this country, Madam Speaker. And therefore, when people hope from one state to another in the United States, castigating the country that they purportedly served with dedication, it does not serve our interests at all, Madam Speaker. Therefore, for those who to this country, Madam Speaker, and therefore, when people hope from one state to another in the United States, castigating the country that they purportedly served with dedication, it does not serve our interests at all, Madam Speaker. Therefore, for those who are geared towards improving our nation, come back to this country, sit down with us, we will show you two things: either how to protest decently, or to sit you down to tell you how to move a country under the broad-based government, Madam Speaker. Therefore, I thank you.
Honorable members, a member has risen in his place under Standing Order 95 for the mover to be called to reply. So I will put the question that the mover be called to reply. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to reply and thank all the members for the invaluable contributions on this bill. And as I said, towards the beginning of next week, we'll be going to Committee of the Whole House as we await amendments that members may propose. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to reply.
Honorable members, I therefore put the question that the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2025, be read a second time. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Air Passenger Service Charge Act and for connected purposes. Order number 12, Committee of the Whole House.
Thank you, honorable members. We are in the committee of the whole House, and we are considering the Election Offences Amendment number 2 bill, Senate Bill number 28 of 2024.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Mover. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that clause 2 be amended as is provided for on the order paper. Honorable Speaker, the justification for this, Honorable Speaker, is that Section 6H provides for the failure by a member of IBC or staff to declare the results of an election under the Elections Act. The provision already acknowledges the role of the chairperson of the IBC to declare the results of a presidential election within 7 days, as well as the role of other staff of IBC to declare the results of election immediately after closing of polling. Therefore, there is no need to cascade the offense. And also, the addition of unreasonably delay in declaring election results as an offense is necessary to consider the instances where a member of staff of IBC exceeds the reasonable time frame for declaring the election results. I beg to move.
Thank you. I propose the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the majority leader. I don't see any interest in this, and I put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by a majority leader. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it. I now put the question that clause 2 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it.
Clause 3.
I propose the question that clause 3 be part of the bill. There be no amendment. I put the question that clause 3 be part of the bill. As many as have that opinion say aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say nay. There is have it.
Clause 4.
I propose the question that clause 4 be part of the bill. Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that clause 4 be amended as provided for on the order paper, and this is by deleting clause 4. The reason being that Section 17 of the Act provides for the offenses relating to the use of technology in elections. The technology referred to by IBC here is equipment and processes used by IBC to carry out an election. In addition, the amendment to create the offense of digital interference with the political rights of a person are covered under various sections of the Act, including Section 9 on bribery. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move.
Thank you. I propose the question that clause 4 be amended as proposed by Majority Leader. Are these members in the House? Honorable Jared Okello? Honorable Harold Kimuge Kipchumba, nominated member. Do you have interest in contributing to? Okay, no interest in this. So, honorable members, I now put the question that clause 4 be amended as proposed by Majority Leader. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it. I now put the question that clause 4 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it.
Long title.
I propose the question that the long title be the long title of the bill. I now put the question that the long title be the long title of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. There be no amendment. I put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it. We are finished, honorable members. I now call upon the mover. Honorable members, we have come to the end of that bill. I now call upon the mover. Majority Leader.
It's co-sponsored.
Okay, thank you. So, Honorable Minority Leader, please proceed. Honorable Mbui.
Yeah, Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Election Offences Amendment Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 28 of 2024, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Thank you, honorable members. I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Election Offences Amendment Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 28 of 2024, and its approval thereof with amendments. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Chairperson, to report to the House.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Election Offences Amendment Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 28 of 2024, and approved the same with amendments.
Mover, to move agreement. Who is the mover moving agreement? Mbui?
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request Honorable Kimani to second the motion of agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House. Thank you.
Majority Leader?
Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Very well. I therefore propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Do I put the question? I put the question that this House do agree with the committee in the said report. As many as have that opinion say aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Mover to move that reading. Kathiani?
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Election Offences Amendment Number 2 Bill, Senate Bill Number 28 of 2024, be now read a third time. I also request the Honorable Majority Leader, Kimani Ichung'wah, to second.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to second. And Honorable Speaker, let me say, as I second, this bill is among the NADCO implementation bills that I co-chaired together with the party leader of WIPA, Honorable Mbui is now the WIPA Democratic Movement, Patriotic Front, and our former Vice President, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, who we co-chaired NADCO with. And these bills are very important in helping IEBC and our country to midwife the next general elections. And therefore, as I commend all those who were with us in NADCO, including Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, Honorable Hassan Omar, Honorable Amina Mnyanzi, Honorable, no, I can't thank Eugene, he disappeared. Honorable Cecily Mbarire, the able Minister for Cabinet Secretary for Energy, Honorable Pio Wandai, Honorable Okongo Mugeni, Honorable Speaker, the Leader of the Senate, Majority Leader, Honorable Aaron Cheruyot, and of course the able leadership of President William Ruto and Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. This bill now sets in place what the country has been speaking about, the implementation phase of the NADCO recommendations, Honorable Speaker. And I therefore commend the House and both houses actually for the passage of this bill, being, I think, the second or the third bill amongst the legislative proposals that came out of the NADCO process. The first being the reconstitution of IEBC under the amended act that we did last year, and we now have that IEBC in place. This law now goes to foster what was expected of that IEBC, and I do hope that the commission that's in place will get in motion to start preparing not just for the by-elections that are slated for later this year, but also prepare for the general election. I beg to second.
Honorable Chepkonga, you know I have to propose the question first. So allow me to propose the question, which is that the Election Offences Amendment number 2 Bill, Senate Bill number 28 of 2024, be now read a third time. Chepkonga.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. It will be a travesty of justice if I don't say something, and I appeared before the very competent committee that was chaired by our majority leader together with the Wiper, not the Wiper Patriotic Front leader, the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, it is questionable. The patriotic one is questionable one. Maybe the front one we agree. But Madam Speaker, I must say that the public participation that was conducted by this committee, Madam Speaker, was quite extensive, was fruitful, and I must say that the proposals that came out of it, which you have just considered in the committee of the whole House, and now as we consider in the third reading, were very innovative and very progressive. In fact, it has come at a very timeless manner because of the constitution of IBC. And these are very important provisions that will help us in ensuring that we conduct fair and transparent and accountable elections. So I support Madam Speaker.
Very well. There being no more interest on this, allow me to put the question, which is that the Election Offences Amendment number 2 Bill, Senate Bill of number 28 of 2024, be now read a third time. As many as are of that opinion say aye. As many as are of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
A bill for an act of
Okay,
Parliament
sorry, before the next
to
order.
amend the Elections Offences Act. Order number 10, motion, consideration of the Affordable Housing Regulations 2025.
Chair, delegated Honorable Chepkonga.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the Affordable Housing Regulations 2025 laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 12th August 2025, and pursuant to Section 59, subsection 4 of the Affordable Housing Act number 2 of 2024, this House approves the Affordable Housing Regulations published as legal notice number 114 of 2025. Madam Speaker, Article 43, subsection 1, clause B of the Constitution guarantees every person the right to accessible and adequate housing as well as reasonable standards of sanitation. In addition, Article 21 obligates the state to take legislative, policy, and other measures, including the setting of standards to achieve the progressive realization of the rights guaranteed under Article 43 of the Constitution. To give effect to Article 43(1)(b), Parliament enacted the Affordable Housing Act number 2 of 2024, which establishes a framework for the development and access to affordable and institutional housing and for connected purposes, which includes also, Madam Speaker, social housing and rural housing. We noticed, Madam Speaker, that there are constituencies that are very small, but with very huge populations. And one of it is represented by one of our members in the committee, the Honorable Watch, whose constituency is 4 by 4 square kilometers with a voting population of 130,000. And the area is too small, and the people that live there would not be able to afford affordable housing. So these regulations provides for social housing in place of affordable housing, so that we can be able to accommodate Article 43 of the Constitution. Section 4 of the Act imposes a housing levy at the rate of 1.5% of the gross salary of an employee or the gross income of a person that is not otherwise subject to the levy as gross salary. Under Section 5, employers are required, A, to deduct the levy from an employee's monthly salary. Number 2, they must contribute an equivalent amount as the employer's share. And number 3, they must remit the employees and the employer's contribution to the appointed authority and collector within 9 working days after the end of the month. The levy is intended to generate funds for the development and financing of affordable housing for Kenyans. Pursuant to Section 59 of the Affordable Housing Act, the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works and Housing and Urban Development has enacted regulations to facilitate the effective implementation of the Act and provide clarity on its application and implementation, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Committee on Delegated Legislation considered this regulation in accordance with the Constitution, the Statutory Instruments Act, the Affordable Housing Act of 2024, and an interpretation of General Provisions Act, Cap 2. In compliance with Section 16 of the Statutory Instruments Act, the committee held a meeting with the State Department for Housing and Urban Development on Thursday, 7th August 2025. Madam Speaker, the salient features of these particular regulations are as follows, Madam Speaker. The regulations that have been made contain very important provisions, Madam Speaker, that seeks to resolve a number of issues that the Act itself has not provided for. Among them, Madam Speaker, the regulations provides for preliminary provisions, including the citation, interpretation of certain words that have been used that were not interpreted in the Act, Madam Speaker. Of importance, Part 2 of the regulations provides for the allocation of affordable housing units. As you know, Madam Speaker, there was a lot of doubt as to whether people would be interested in affordable housing. As you know, we've just seen what happened recently when the President launched the affordable housing and the number of people who are interested. And we saw the people who are already entering into those houses. So there has been massive interest, Madam Speaker, and the Cabinet Secretary has therefore provided the criteria on allocation of these houses and why someone would be denied, and they will provide reasons. This part contains provision on eligibility criteria for allocation of an affordable housing unit, the procedure for allocation of an affordable housing unit, the procedure of the board to decline an application for an affordable housing unit that is not successful, the rate of deposit, which has been capped at 5% of the purchase price as provided under Regulation 7 of these regulations, the eligibility criteria. It also provides for eligibility criteria, how one qualifies to be allocated a house, Madam Speaker. And it also provides also for details in terms of payment for affordable housing, how you pay on a monthly basis. Regulation 11, Madam Speaker, provides for procedure for an application for a loan for the development of a rural affordable housing unit. Madam Speaker, we have found that this country is not similar in terms of the terrain and in terms of culture. What will be considered as affordable housing in Nairobi and other towns, for instance, in Eldoret and other towns, Madam Speaker, where you build high skyscrapers? We found out that, Madam Speaker, in places like Turkana, Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, affordable housing that needs to be constructed in those areas need not go up. You need bungalows because they have sufficient land mass that you can construct. Two, the culture of these people cannot allow them to live in high skyscrapers. So if you went to Turkana today, Madam Speaker, and you build a huge apartment, the lower floors the ground floor will be occupied, the others will remain